Have you ever looked at your feet and noticed something unusual? For some people, the second toe, the one right next to the big toe, is actually longer than the big toe itself. At first glance, this might seem like just a quirky detail, nothing more than a genetic trait. But for centuries, across different cultures and spiritual traditions, this simple feature has been believed to reveal deep insights about a person's character, destiny, and even past life karma. Ancient Eastern philosophies, like Chinese face and body reading, often suggest that the human body is not random. Every shape, every line, every proportion carries meaning, shaped by countless causes and conditions. Your body, they say, reflects not only your physical nature, but also your inner self, your mental tendencies, and the karmic patterns you've accumulated over many lifetimes. It's a fascinating idea. What if the length of your toes says something profound about who you really are? In traditional body reading, the feet are seen as the foundation of life, the roots that support everything else. While your hands represent action and what you do in the world, your feet represent the path you're destined to walk. There's even an old saying, "The feet tell where you're going." Among the many features observed, one stands out as particularly intriguing: when your second toe is longer than your big toe. In the West, this is sometimes called the Greek foot or the Morton's toe, and it's been depicted in countless classical sculptures as a sign of beauty and strength. But in Eastern traditions, this physical trait has often been associated with personality and destiny. People with a longer second toe are believed to be ambitious, decisive, and naturally inclined toward leadership. They don't like being controlled. Instead, they crave independence and authority. Some old texts even claim when the second toe is long, the path to power is strong. Of course, the question is, why? Is this just superstition, or is there a deeper spiritual reason behind this belief? To understand the meaning of this trait on a spiritual level, we need to go beyond fortune telling and step into the teachings of compassion and wisdom. In Buddhism, every physical form is a result of karma, a reflection of past causes and conditions. So when ancient teachers, even enlightened beings like Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva of compassion, speak about physical signs, it's never about vanity. It's about awakening. Could it be that this physical feature is a karmic marker? A sign of certain qualities that, if used wisely, can lead you to greatness, or if misused, can lead you into suffering. In the next section, we'll explore how ancient traditions interpreted this trait, why it was considered so significant, and what it might truly reveal about your inner nature. And then we'll dive into the spiritual truth. What Avalokiteshvara, the embodiment of compassion, wants us to understand about it, not as superstition, but as a guide for living a wise and meaningful life. Throughout history, different cultures have looked at the human body as a map of the soul. In Eastern traditions, especially Chinese and Indian body reading, every toe symbolizes something. The big toe, it represents logic, mental clarity, and overall control. The second toe, that one is tied to ambition, decision-making, and the drive for power. So what happens when the second toe is longer than the big toe? According to traditional interpretations, this isn't just a random feature. It's a sign of someone who refuses to live an average life. These individuals are seen as natural-born leaders. They tend to be strong-willed, assertive, and independent thinkers. They don't like being told what to do. They're strategic, confident, and often very persuasive. There's even an old saying in some Asian texts, "A long second toe rules the household." The belief was that if a woman had this trait, she would dominate family decisions. If a man had it, he would rise to positions of authority, whether in business, politics, or the community. In some cultures, wealthy families would secretly check the feet of potential spouses because a long second toe was considered a sign of influence and intelligence. Interestingly, this belief isn't limited to Asia. In the West, the exact same feature is known as the Greek foot. If you look at ancient statues, think of Michelangelo's David, you'll notice the second toe often extends beyond the big toe. Why? Because in Greek art, this was considered the ideal of beauty, strength, and superiority. Modern podiatry even has a term for it, Morton's toe. And studies have shown that people with this foot shape often have strong personalities, are quick decision makers, and sometimes a little controlling. Sounds familiar, right? But here's the question. Does this mean if you have a long second toe, you're destined for greatness? Not exactly. Even traditional body reading masters would warn that this feature comes with a double edge. Ambition and leadership can lead to incredible success, but they can also lead to pride, stubbornness, and burnout if not balanced. The trait suggests potential, not a guarantee. How you use it is what really matters. This is where spiritual wisdom steps in. Physical signs like this are not there to inflate our ego. They are reminders of the energy we carry and the responsibility that comes with it. If you have this feature, ancient masters would say, use it wisely. Let your strength serve others, not just yourself. And that brings us to the deeper question. What does Buddhism, and specifically Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva of compassion, say about signs like this? Does it mean you're chosen? Does it mean you have better karma than others? Or is there a completely different meaning behind it? In the next section, we'll uncover the spiritual truth, and it might surprise you. In Buddhism, the body's not just a physical shell, it's a reflection of causes and conditions, what we call karma. Every line, every feature is the result of seeds planted in countless lifetimes. But here's the key point. These signs are not destiny. They are tendencies, potential. Nothing is fixed. When Avalokiteshvara, known as the Bodhisattva of infinite compassion, appears in stories, the message is never about predicting who will be rich or powerful. It's about awakening the heart. There is a well-known teaching that says, outer form follows inner mind. In other words, the shape of your toes may hint at qualities you've cultivated before, but what you do now determines what they become. One ancient Buddhist parable tells of a proud man who believed his long second toe meant he was destined to rule. He became arrogant, greedy, and dismissive of others. One day, he met a wise monk, said to be Avalokiteshvara in disguise, who asked, if your toe gives you power, why are you still enslaved by anger and fear? That single question shattered his illusion. He realized that physical traits mean nothing without inner virtue. From then on, he devoted himself to service and compassion, and only then did his life truly flourish. This is the deeper truth Avalokiteshvara teaches. A physical sign is not a ticket to greatness. It's a reminder of responsibility. If you have strong qualities, ambition, intelligence, courage, how will you use them? Will you use them for control or for compassion? For domination or for protection? In Buddhism, everything comes down to intention. A long second toe might suggest strong willpower, but willpower without wisdom becomes stubbornness. Leadership without compassion becomes tyranny. The Bodhisattva reminds us that no external feature, no lucky sign can guarantee happiness. Only a heart rooted in kindness and a mind guided by wisdom can do that. So the next time you notice your second toe, whether it's long or short, don't think of it as fate. Think of it as an opportunity to reflect. Am I walking my path with love? Am I using my strength to help others? That, Avalokiteshvara would say, is the real meaning behind these signs. And in the final part, we'll explore how to live this wisdom in a modern world. Practical steps to turn this ancient insight into real happiness and freedom. So, what's the takeaway? Whether your second toe is longer than your big toe or not, remember this. It doesn't define your destiny. You do. These signs are not about ego. They're invitations. If you have traits of ambition, strength, and leadership, it means you've been given a tool. The real question is, how will you use it? In today's world, it's easy to get lost in external things, looks, status, validation. But the Bodhisattva's teaching is timeless. Happiness isn't found in physical traits or social power. It's found in the way you live, in the choices you make every single day. That means use your strength to uplift, not to dominate. Let your ambition serve a higher purpose, not just your own desires. Balance willpower with kindness. If you believe in karma, then you know that every action plants a seed. Every time you choose compassion over selfishness, You create a future brighter than any lucky sign could promise. And even if you don't believe in karma, think about it. The kind of energy you put out into the world always comes back to you. So if your second toe is longer than your big toe, let it remind you of something bigger. You have power. You have potential. But power without love is dangerous. The strongest leaders in history were not just powerful. They were wise and compassionate. That is what makes greatness. And if you don't have this feature, it doesn't matter. Because true beauty, true fortune, true destiny, they don't live in your toes. They live in your heart and mind. As Avalokiteshvara teaches, do not cling to form. Live by compassion and wisdom. So stop staring at your feet. Start walking your path with awareness, kindness, and courage. Because in the end, the most beautiful sign you can carry is the smile on someone else's face because of what you did for them.